Well, good evening, everybody. I hope you're all okay, and you've had a nice day. Nothing too stressful, perhaps. It's been quite nice for us today. What have we done? What have we done? Not a lot, actually. Not a lot. I went for a run this morning, all the way down to my parents' house, sat on their wall on the front garden, and waved at them. Well, good evening, everybody. Which was nice. I hope you're all okay. My brother turned up while I was there as well, and he sat on the wall as well. But he was a nice day, a good 6 foot away from me. Stressful, perhaps. So we didn't get into contact. It's been quite nice for us today. What have we done? Had a bit of a lazy early afternoon. Not a lot, actually. And then put together the results. I went for a run this morning, all the way down to my parents' house, sat on their wall on the front garden. And well, good evening, everybody. We'll just crack on, shall we? I hope you're all okay, because we don't want to be doing that. You don't want to be here as well, but it was a nice day, a good 6 foot away from me. So, round one. So, general knowledge. It's been quite nice for us today. What have we done? Had a bit of a lazy early order. Not a lot, and then put together the results. I went for a run this morning, all the way down to my parents' house, sat on their wall on the front garden. It was all going to be lovely and glorious. So, well, good evening, everybody. Anyway, we'll just crack on, shall we? So, okay, because here come the answers. But it was wonderful. Good 6 foot away from me. So, round one, duplicating the sound again. General knowledge. Right, let's see if we can fix that. How's that now? Is the sound duplicating still?
I've lost you now.
You've lost me. What's the is the sound okay now?
No.
It would be fine when I'm not speaking, of course, but if I keep talking, you might be able to find out.
Okay, I think it's fine now.
Okay, it looks like if I have the Facebook stream up on my screen, it gives the echo, which is a bit strange, isn't it? So, hopefully, we're all okay now. If I can get a little tick from most of you, you can message me and say that, because you're on a separate computer now with the messages. Okay. How are we doing on YouTube? Anyone? Actually, I can't say that, of course, because I don't have YouTube on my screen. Okay. On YouTube. We're all good on YouTube, yes? Okay, super duper. I'm getting messages left, right and centre from all and sundry. Okay, right. I know that for future. Not to have Facebook running in the background. Right, let's crack on. So, round one, general knowledge. The first question was, the samba is a dance originating from Brazil, but what is their unit of currency? Now, many of you got this wrong, but a number of you got it right as well. It is in fact the real. I don't know how you would pronounce it. Real? Not sure. Don't know. Anyway, so congratulations to those of you that got it correct. I'm not going to go through the list and tell you who got it right. You've got a record of all the answers you did. You can cross-reference it back with WhatsApp to see how you got on and what you actually answered. So, question number 2. The wing is a figure danced in waltz, but which bird has the largest wingspan? Now, I think almost everybody got this one correct. It is, in fact, an albatross, and they are huge. So, the American Smooth is a dance style that allows up to 3 lifts per dance, but in which year was the first passenger elevator installed in an office building? It was C, 1875, which seems like an awful long time ago, doesn't it, to have had a lift installed in a building. I suppose they needed to then, didn't they, because the buildings got so tall. Otherwise they'd have been very tired. They'd have been even more out of breath than Margaret gets coming up the stairs at 24/7. So the tango is the national dance of Argentina, where it's quite common to see 2 men dancing together. Argentina was the first Latin American country to legalise same-sex marriage in which year? It was 2010. So those of you that selected 2010, I don't think it was many of you actually. It's a bit of a strange question. You either know it or you don't, and you just have to guess, I guess. So, question number 5. Former Southampton striker Graziano Pella was a champion-winning Latin American dancer in his youth, but for which national team did he play football for? It was, of course, Italy. Some of you went for Brazil. Some of you said Switzerland as well, but the majority of you did say Italy. the Pele bit at the end, you see. It was just there to fox you. Question 6. Our regular jaunts up to Blackpool for the British Championships take us up the M6, but what is its total length? It is, in fact, 232.2 miles. So I rounded it down to 232 miles. So some people said 233. I gave that to you. But yeah, so 232 miles approximately. So some say that dancing is like a language, and in many instances they would be correct. But how many official languages does... Blimey. It's just a sneeze, just an irritation of the nose. I'm not ill, don't worry. And I did sneeze into the crook of my arm. How many official languages does Switzerland have? 4. 4 official languages in Switzerland. Yes, it's only 4. But if you think about it, it's landlocked, isn't it? So it's got all those countries around it. Thanks for your advice, Tom. Thanks for your potential assistance. I've sorted it just by closing a window. One of the most famous competitive dance studios in the world is Dance Options in Cheam, Surrey. Which famous comedian also lives in Cheam? It was, in fact, Tim Vine. Kelly and I were sat in Costa Coffee in Cheam once, and he came in and got a coffee, obviously, and walked out. And as he walked out, I looked over and said, "Love your work." That's all I said. And he, "Thank you very much." And he walked out. That was it. So, yeah, I think he's a very funny man, Tim Vine. Dizzyfeet Dancing is only 2 years away from its 15th anniversary. What is the traditional gift for a couple celebrating their 15th year of marriage? It is, in fact, crystal, not a dish rag, as someone said. I'm not going to really comment on that, but I did think it was quite funny. Yes, so crystal. So that was question number 9. And there's nothing better than dancing a foxtrot to a big band, especially from bandleader William Basie. But what name was he better known? He was the Count. Count Basie. Many of you got that right as well. Some of you just said don't know. And I can't remember one of them. It was quite funny. It was so funny I've forgotten it. Yeah. Billy Basie. I think that's what they called it. Yeah, Billy, but I thought it was quite amusing. Right, so that was round 1. So, how did you get on? I know how you got on. Some of you did well, some of you didn't do so well. I do have the results, but I'm not going to tell you exactly what people got, because that's not fair, is it? That wouldn't be fair at all. But in each round, there was, in round 1, there was one team that got 8 points, 8 out of 10. No one got full marks. And there was one team that did only get 1 of those questions correct. Most of you, though, around the 5-6 mark on that round. So, moving on to round... Oh, actually, I needed that, didn't I? I closed it and I needed that. So moving on to round 2, the general dancing round. Now, this was an interesting one. Which world-famous ballroom hosts the prestigious British Open and British National Championships? It is, in fact... Oh, that's not working. Do you know why? Because I haven't set that up properly. Talk amongst yourselves while I get this working. Yeah. I've got to sort of the hotkeys on that, haven't I? If you hold the line just for 1 second, callers. So I hope you were outside giving all those NHS workers a clap. We had a little ripple of applause down here outside, and we heard some other people doing it as well. And we heard some people from the window as well. And there were some fireworks going off in Southampton too, I understand. My mum and dad went on the doorstep, and they were drowned out by fireworks. Anyway, so which world-famous ballroom hosts the prestigious championships? It was the Blackpool Winter Gardens. Now, many of you said Blackpool. Most of you said Blackpool, to be honest. Some of you said Blackpool Tower. It wasn't the Blackpool Tower. And it's because it used to be, actually. No, that's unfortunately, it's a bit of not a trick question, but they did used to hold the junior dance festival there. But the amateur and professional have always been at the Winter Gardens, Blackpool Winter Gardens. So I gave some of you half a point. Some of you said Winter Gardens, some of you just said Blackpool. So you got a half a point for that. It was a whole point if you got Blackpool Winter Gardens, and I do believe there was only one person that actually said Blackpool Winter Gardens. Question number 2. How many bars of music make up a sequence in ballroom and Latin sequence dances? It is in fact 16. 16 bars repeated over and over and over again for about 3.5 to 4 minutes. Fabulous. The fleckerl is a figure in which dance, and it is spelt correctly, even though Kelly's not here now to complain about that. It is in fact the Viennese waltz. So a number of you got that right. Some of you said paso doble, which, to be honest, you could probably do it in paso doble. It looked quite good. What must you never do at the end of a lockstep? Now, I'd like to think that all of you knew the answer to this question. And if actually, it's very clear from the answers that there's a number of you that need a bit of attention in lessons. So it is, in fact, a heel lead. You can rise at the end of a lockstep, you can stop, and you can close your feet, but you must never, ever do a heel lead at the end of a lockstep in any dance. Which 2 dances are counted in 2/4 rhythm? Now, there's a problem with this one, because there are, in fact, 3 dances that are counted in 2/4 rhythm: the tango, the samba, and the paso doble. Now, some of you got the answer correct. Some of you put 2 answers, and some of you only put 1. No one put 3, obviously, because I only said 2 dances. So I just allowed those of you that put, if you got it right, if you said 2, I gave you the 2 marks for that. So it was a possible 2 marks on that question. Yes, so apologies for that. It was a bit confusing, but anyway, it is in fact 3. It was a bit of a mistake on my part, so I apologise for that. Which samba dance figure is also a place in Brazil? It is, in fact, Botafogo. And I've got an interesting story about this. A number of years ago, Emperor's Ballroom, Mother. No, it's the Winter Gardens. It's held at the Winter Gardens. Blackpool Winter Gardens. It is in the Emperor's Ballroom, which is inside the Winter Gardens. But you didn't play anyway. You played at home, so it's irrelevant. And only one person said the Emperor's Ballroom anyway. So, funny story about Botafogo. Now, I was teaching a kids class at our old studio in Shirley, and I was doing the samba with these group of children. There was a young girl there, which I think she was about 14, that was Brazilian, coincidentally, and we're dancing the samba, and I said, we're going to do some Botafogos. And would you believe it, she was from Botafogo. And that's when I learnt that there was a place in Brazil called Botafogo, which was a bit of a surprise to all of us in the class. It was quite funny at the time. Her father was on secondment, I think they call it secondment, don't they? He was working at the oil refinery down in Fawley, and so he brought his family along, and she was a dancer, so she came along to class to learn for a bit, and I thought it was quite funny. There was a place in Brazil called Botafogo. It would be funnier if it was called Cortajaca. I think that's a better place, isn't it? The Cortajaca, you can imagine that's a place on the seafront. Yes, perhaps. What is the national dance of Spain? I think you all got this right, pretty much. The flamenco. Bit of a trick, you see. I was hoping someone would go for paso doble, but no one did. In the tango, how many steps are in the figure? 5 step. Again, a trick question. Those of you that have done classes with us for a number of years will know the answer to this, of course. It is, in fact, 4. There's only 4 steps in a 5 step. Not 17, someone wrote. 17 steps? No, there's not 17 steps. I am a member of the ISTD. What does the I stand for? Well, it stands for Imperial. The Imperial Society of Teachers of Dancing. Now, the International Dance Teachers Association does exist, but it's the International Dance Teachers Association. Inclusive and intellectual, they aren't there at all. So I just added that on just to blow you off the scent. And what 3 things does James require from a woman when dancing with them? Now, there's a couple of people that have entered this competition, the quiz, sorry, that have lessons with me regularly, and I'm disappointed they don't know the answer to this. And it is this: give me a body, open your legs, and find me irresistible. Only one person got that correct. That's because I drum that into them all the time. I'll just clarify, so you don't think I'm being sordid in any way. So give me a body. Now, to dance with you, I need your body. So you have to give me your body. I'm talking about ballroom here. So if you take your body away, I can't do anything with you. I can't dance with you. So it's nothing too crude there. Open your legs. Now, of course, you can't dance with your legs together. You can't dance if your shoelaces are tied together. So every time you take a stride, you need to open your legs as wide as possible from the hips, swinging from the hips. So that's opening your legs. And the find me irresistible bit is if I choose to go to the left, you go to the left. If I go to the right, you go to the right. If I go forward, you go backwards. If I go backwards, you go forwards. You don't think, no, I know better. I'm going to go that way when I'm going that way. That's why. That's the irresistible bit. At this stage, in most of your dancing careers, if you dance with me, generally speaking, I do kind of know better-ish. In a dancing sense, but that's it. Okay. Thanks, Kel. I'm losing them again. So that was round 2. So the round 2. So we had one team got 12.5 points for that. They were only half a mark off because they didn't put Winter Gardens in their answer, or Blackpool. They didn't put Blackpool in their answer for the first question. Again, generally most of you are around the 4.5 mark. They're 4.5, 5.5, 6.5, and we did have one team with only 2 points in that round. So there we go. So we're on to round 3, which was the movie lines round. So I'm going to go through these nice and quickly. Number 1, if you build it, he will come. Field of Dreams was the answer to that one. And someone did say the Kevin Costner film. I'm afraid we couldn't take that. You don't understand. I could have had class. I could have been a contender. I could have been somebody instead of a bum, which is what I am now. On the Waterfront, an old film there. So only a couple of you got that one right. Just Keep Swimming. I think pretty much everybody got that one right. Finding Nemo. May the Force be with you again. I think pretty much everyone got this one right as well. Of course, Star Wars, any episode. It didn't matter because they say it in every single one. Roads, where we're going, we don't need roads. One of my favourite films of all time, Back to the Future. Get your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape, was, of course, Planet of the Apes, the original 1968 one with Charlton Heston. These go to 11. Of course, this is Spinal Tap. That amazing line when it's just fabulous. If you haven't seen This is Spinal Tap, I really suggest you watch it. It's a tremendous film. Question 8. I am serious, and don't call me Shirley. Another classic. Airplane. I see dead people. The Sixth Sense. Now, funny little story. I was in New York recently to judge a competition, and after the competition had finished, the day after, I went out into Manhattan with a friend of mine, and we went to a couple of bars, and we went to this particular little restaurant/bar, and sat behind me was Mr. Sixth Sense himself, Jolie Osmond. I can't remember his middle name now. Anyway, someone will probably message me his name. But he was literally sat. I was sat here. My friend was sat opposite me, and he was sat behind my friend. And I said to my friend, "Don't look now, but I see dead people." And obviously, he got the joke. Anyway, right. Okay. Sorry, Mum. I'm not shouting at you. Anyway, so that was my little story about Jolie Haley Osmond. That's it. Yeah, it was funny. He doesn't seem any taller than he was in the film. A lot hairier and quite a little bit more cuddly, but same little baby face. And finally, they call it a Royale with cheese, and that was Pulp Fiction. Now, if you're not squeamish or don't mind action films with lots of gritty storylines, I really suggest you watch that. If you haven't seen it, it's a great film. So that was round 3. Now, there was a number of you that got that one. That round did pretty well in that. So we had a 9, we had 2 9s, we had an 8 out of 10. Most of you were around the 5, 6, 7 mark there. Although we did have one team that only got 2. So clearly not film buffs. So round 4, which was the James and Kelly round. And I'll get I turned that one off. I didn't mean to do that. There we go. Round 4. In 1995, James competed in the first ever Open Championships of which country? It was, in fact, Bulgaria. That was an experience. From the plane to the airport to the hotel. Yeah, it was quite an experience. I went with friends of ours now, Gareth and Lisa Taplin. They were together back then, 1995, and on the day of the comp in the morning, we went and hired some mopeds and went speeding off down the coast and everything. It was like a little resort where the hotel was that the competition was being held in, and we got to the end of this little resort, got to an end, and we had armed guards point a gun at us and say, turn around, go back. So, and the other end was a cliff face. So literally we were locked in this little resort, not allowed out into proper Bulgaria at the time. And we went off on another little road, and we're going up this little road, and there was a massive hole. I mean, we think we've got bad potholes here. There was this hole, literally like the ground had collapsed in, like a sinkhole almost. So I swerved to avoid it, and just about came off the moped fine. I staggered and I didn't fall over. The bike rolled, and Gareth behind me, poor fella, swerved to avoid me, went into the bushes, rolled over and over and over. It was quite horrific. I thought he was going to be dead, but luckily he was okay, and he got up. We walked the bikes back because they were knackered, and we get to where we hired them from, and Gareth says, look at the state, look at this bike, the handlebars were all bent and the brakes weren't working. And he showed him his hand, he had this blood coming out of his hand, and he said, look what's happened to me. Anyway, this guy goes, hold on, don't worry. And off he goes. We're thinking he's going to get our money back. Turns up, plaster. That's all we got. A plaster for our trouble. Shocking. Yeah, don't hire bikes. Well, this was 1995. Don't hire bikes in Sunny Beach in Bulgaria. Question number 2. Kelly was a former champion in New Vogue, a dance style similar to sequence. There's only dance in Australia. Which one's a real dance? It is, in fact, the Tango Terrific. And it is quite terrific. Now, they've got some real fancy smiles over there in Australia. It's not a dance style that I particularly enjoy. Let's put it that way. It's like sequence on steroids with Cheshire Grin smiles all the time. How old was Kelly when she started ballroom Latin dancing? Well, we talked about this 2 days before, on one of our little videos, and it was in fact when she was 9. So she's a relatively late starter. Which country was my last partner from? No, those of you that know me would probably have heard me talk about it. Russia, Alla Kolobova. Yes, and that was in Russia, in Moscow. And we danced together for a year, only a year. Short dance partnership. We did quite well though, didn't do too bad. And I spent some nice times in Moscow actually as well. Tremendous city. How many professional competitions did James and Kelly win before retiring in 2011? One of you answered 50, which was lovely, but it wasn't one of the options. And quite a few of you said 5 or 15. It was in fact none. We didn't win a single competition. We were runners-up a couple of times, runners-up at the Australian Open twice, runners-up at the English Open. But unfortunately, we never won a single comp. 1 mark off winning the English Open, we were. Very disappointing. Sad days. But hey, there we go. Which year did Dizzyfeet dancing start? 2007. So we're coming up for our 15th anniversary. Which university dance team did we teach for? It was, in fact, Cambridge, which was quite an experience. And that was pretty good going, actually. 2 years we did that for. And lots of fun we had up there at Cambridge. Long drive, though. Which is why we stopped doing it, because it was 3 hours there, 3 hours back, 6 hours of teaching, and it was tough. But great experiences. We made some great friends up there. How many times have I been interviewed for Strictly Come Dancing? Some of you said never. Some of you said once. One of you said twice. I have, in fact, been interviewed for Strictly 3 times. The first 2 times I was really polite and lovely. The third time, when they brought me back in, I was a bit obtuse, let's say, and oddly enough, never got asked again. In which Australian city did Kelly first learn to dance? It was Townsville, a massive city with about 5 people that live in it. It's about the size of Hampshire, the city boundary, but there's literally no one in it. It's tiny population, but yeah. And I always think it's really just a made-up name. It's a bit like a game you'd play on, perhaps Sim City. You'd play SimCity and you'd call your village or your place Townsville, wouldn't you? It doesn't seem right to me. How many classes do we run currently each week? Now, obviously not currently because we can't run any, but it is in fact 21. We run quite a few classes. So, let's see how some of you did on that particular round. So, round 4, we had no one with maximum marks. We've not had a single maximum mark in any of the rounds. We had 1 7, 2 7s. Majority of you with 3s and 4s on that, so I guess a few of you just don't quite know us as well. So yeah, maybe these little video blogs we're going to be doing will give you the chance to get to know us a bit better. So on to the last 5th and final round, the quickfire round. Which is the largest ocean? It is in fact the Pacific. Which planet does the moon Titan orbit? Saturn. What is the national animal of Australia? You could argue it's both of them, but it is really the kangaroo. What is the currency of Vietnam? I loved this question. Ding dong. It is in fact a dong. What is the collective noun used for a group of flamingos? Now, I thought this was beautiful, and it is a flamboyance of flamingos, which is just marvellous. And I think you should all use that in your vocabularies now, all the time, in all your conversations. I think you should tell your friends that, just say, oh, did you know that the collective noun for flamingos is a flamboyance? It's quite nice, isn't it? Because they're so pink and beautiful. It's lovely. When was decimalisation introduced into the UK? It was, in fact, 1971. So, just before I was born. And do snakes have eyelids? No, they do not. They've got, apparently, so I read, they've got this very clever scale that covers their eye, which protects it. So they don't actually have eyelids at all. They've got a scaly eye, which, nice. Which famous writer featured on the old £10 note? It was Charles Dickens. I don't like the new notes. They're ridiculous. Hugh Jackman used to be a PE teacher. True or false? It is in fact true. He was a PE teacher. You can see that really though, can't you? You can imagine him in the gym. No, get that out of my head. And who has starred in the most movies? It is Michael Caine. So, 170 something, I think, off the top of my head. It's quite a lot. And I think Anthony Hopkins was 152, I think, according to IMDb. So, not always accurate, but 20 odd difference. I think it's safe to assume that Michael Caine has appeared in more. Now, we had a few of you doing very well in that round, and we had 4 of you get 9 correct. 4 of you get 8 correct as well. So that was the best round for everyone. We did have one team with only 3, but the majority of you got 7s or 8s, which was very well done. So that was our quiz yesterday, and we did post the leaderboard online earlier today on our Facebook page. But this is the leaderboard. So you can see Tequila Mockingbird are up there at the top with 38 points. And down at the bottom there, that obviously took part this time, were Paul DeBeck and Kelly Boag, who only got 15.5 points. 3 teams entered but didn't take part, but they may well join us next week. And of course, this is going to be a cumulative total. So until we finish the lockdown, and then we'll see who's the winners at the end of that. And they will get a prize. We might even do retrospective prizes for those of you that win each week, perhaps as well. It depends what we can find in the dancing cupboard, when we can get access to it again. So, that's that. That's it for tonight. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I hope you all stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll be back online again, not tomorrow, because Matteo and Jessica are going to do something tomorrow and Saturday, but we might do something in the daytime on Saturday, perhaps, depending on what time they are going to be online. So please do tune in to their online lessons that they're going to be doing. Have a look on Facebook to see how to do that. I don't know myself yet. I'm going to be trying to tune in as well. So if you need any help, though, please do give us a message, and I'm sure one of us will be able to help you. So tune in, see what they've got to offer, and I will see you all very soon. Bye for now, everyone.